Chapter 3. Wake up, Grand Wiccan! Tavo awoke from his sleep to see Ive at the foot of his bed in great angst. "What is your dysfunction, young Ive?" he asked the small boy. "A horrid sight in Mainun's tent," he panted. Tavo reached out to the boy and signaled with his finger. "Come to me, child." As the boy approached, Tavo palmed the right side of Ive's face and said to him in a firm and gentle voice, "You will show me what you see, as your eyes now belong to me. Be still now," he told the boy. With his hand resting on Ive's cheek, Tavo took a deep breath and began to chant. Silicism. Ive could feel a strange force of some sort, as he lost all feeling in his right eye, but could still see through it. Then he felt the Grand Wiccan release him. "Now go. Show me what you saw," Tavo instructed the boy. Ive turned around and led the way to Mainun's tent. Once outside the Wiccan's tent, his right eye began moving without his own control. "Whoa," he said in bewilderment. The boy could not walk correctly with his eye behaving so strangely. It was tampering with his level of balance, and it was difficult to maintain his stride. Bumping into a few things along the way, he made it to Mainun's tent without falling and opened the leather entrance for the Wiccan to see what he had already saw. Controlling Ive's right eye, the Grand Wiccan, Tavo, did in fact see a strange sight. He saw Mainun lying with an innocent young child. Blood specks was all over Mainun's phallus. Along his waist was dry blood, and between the legs of the child as well. Her pusna appeared to be very swollen from the angle and height of which Ive stood. He could see more than he cared to. "He must die," Tavo whispered to himself in great grief. His level of disappointment was depressing. Now he knew why Mainun never chose to claim any of the tribe women. He even thought for a moment Mainun was in relations with one of the tribe males. But a child? Why Mainun? He shook his head. I've heard the Wiccan's words. Tavo turned and strode out of his tent, calling the boy to return to him. "Come to me, Ive. No longer look upon the vile disgust." Getting Ive back in control of his sight, he raised his arms to call his men together. Once they all gathered, the Grand Wiccan, Tavo, spoke to them. "We have a LAW breaker of nature and its natural order. No female child shall be penetrated by any adult male without her first drops, neither shall no female without his. That practice is for child upon child, for they do not know what they do but admire what they feel." He sighed. "The disgraceful one is Mainun." Jaws dropped behind his announcement. The faces of disbelief were clear. To some, this announcement was unwanted. A few looked back in the direction of Mainun's tent. The morning joy was crushed. Tavo looked off into the morning sun. "Arm yourselves, men, and kill him swiftly as he sleeps. But beware of the female child that is sleeping beside him, for she knows not what she has done." The men moved with caution and mixed emotions of rage as they surrounded Mainun's tent. Two men formed at the front, opening, one in the middle who held an axe. The two front men quickly yanked back the leather doorway and saw exactly what was spoken. Primawana awoke immediately to the disturbance. Sunlight beamed through the opening at her, and she looked just in time to see a man swinging an axe towards not her, but Mainun. Mainun awoke just the same, his heart suddenly pounding as he could do nothing but watch as one of his own men came down on him with an axe. His muscles tightened and his heart stopped as the axe blade nearest his chest. Simultaneously, his body tingled sharply. Primoana had instantly teleported them out of harm's way to the other side of the tent. "This is not what it seems," Mainun shouted as the men came closer, drawing their weapons. "No!" Primoana screamed as the men rushed him again. Tavo was surprised to see the trickery as he watched from outside the tent. The small naked child made her move by reaction. What kind of magic is this? He wondered how Mainun was keeping the secret, and now he knew. "Warriors!" The men standing outside rushed inside to their target. For Mainun was extremely dangerous fighter and was not to be taken carelessly. Mainun pushed Primoana off to the side before they could get close to her. "Mainun, don't let them kill you!" cried Primoana. Mainun fought against his attackers, but was caught completely off guard. He could not even wrap his mind behind hurting these men. Overstanding how things may seem, he felt helpless and ashamed without trial. He was cornered, naked, unarmed, defenseless. Blades were cutting deeply into his flesh. He could no longer fight. "No, no! Why are you doing this? He did nothing wrong!" she cried as she watched him fall to his knees with his final gaze on her. "He did nothing wrong!" she exclaimed in shock at what she had witnessed. Tears of pain running down her face. She was in a trance. This could not be happening. Tavo walked over to her. "He molested your mind, my child," he explained. Primoana snapped her head towards him. "I'm no fucking child. I'm an immortal." Tavo's eyes widened. Pain struck his soul as his gaze left the girl to Mainun. "No!" Tears began to flow. He never felt as foolish in his life as he felt now. "Mainun," he whispered as he moved toward his fallen warrior who lay dead on the ground. "I am so sorry." The men moved aside as the Wiccan came to Mainun and fell to his knees. I fully didn't understand what was going on, but he understood something was very wrong. Tavo turned towards the girl and said, "I'm sorry." Primoana had nothing to say. Shivering from the winds coming in through the leather flaps, she noticed the onlookers from outside the tent and vanished. She teleported back to her home beneath the huge tree and began to cry. Tears flowed from her eyes as she looked over at Mainun's hover that was left behind from the night before. Covering her mouth in an attempt to contain her emotions, she slowly walked to her washroom to clean herself of the blood and soil. She filled her tub with warm water and stepped in. As she sat in the tub, she realized her pusna was swollen to the point it felt it didn't belong between her legs. She couldn't sit down due to the soreness, so she slid down to rest on her shoulders and soak. Her heart felt stripped from her body as she came to accept that Mainun was gone. Looking at the blood between her legs beginning to liquefy, and she rubbed her belly, wishing her body was at the stage of giving birth. At least then, Mainun's life would still have lived through a child. Tears continued to stream, and she closed her eyes to hold back her cries. "I'm sorry, my love," she told him, the vision of him in her mind. Mainun's body had been removed from the ground to be cleaned and prepared for his burial. Tavo had already shed his last tear as he walked through his village. As Tavo came near Mainun's tent, he saw Ive sitting next to the tent with a pout on his face. "Come, young Ive," he said to the boy. "We must remember him in his prime, not sorrow." "It was my fault," Ive said, whimpering. "No," he told Ive, and then explained. "We all felt victim to his foolishness. I failed to question him I failed him. Ive got up on his feet and hugged the Wiccan. We will learn from this tragic day not to make the same mistakes, said Tavo. Yes, we shall, agreed Ive. That night, Mainun's flesh was set to flame and praise was given to him as the great deity of war. No! The child-looking girl screamed. She was standing outside with blood between her legs. The ends of her long black golden hair cascaded past her waist, brushing the top of her bottom that was perfectly round and looked so soft. I'm no fucking child! The child-looking girl screamed. Her swollen pusna and light brown nipples would be alluring to any man's eyes. Do you want to taste my blood, Ive? Huh? A voice called to him. Yes! Come over here then, the girl told him as she lay her body to the ground. Come over here and suck the blood from my pusna. Suddenly the girl was standing, looking very frail, shivering from the exposure to the wind, banished from the warmth of the tent that she was no longer sleeping in. He felt himself taking steps towards her, but as he got close, she vanished. Ive! He heard her call him. Come clean me. He turned to her and she disappeared again, called again and vanished again. The motions and turns became rapid as he spun around to catch sight of her. Ive! The voice called once more. He was so drawn to her that he could slightly bear her when she disappeared and she reappeared. Ive! Ive awoke, startled. Ive! Yeah, I'm up, he said, rubbing his face. Why do you lay so long? It's almost time to hunt, asked Bolt. Dreams, Bolt. I keep having these dreams. Of what? Ive stood to his feet and stretched, then turned to Bolt and answered. That girl. That was so many seasons ago, said Bolt, shaking his head. And I still see her. Ive told him as he came out of his tent, see that his men were getting ready to hunt. He has now become the youngest to ever leave the tribe at 48 seasons. What kind of dreams? Bolt persisted. Ive just shook his head and replied, crazy dreams. Ive ended the conversation as he approached his hunters and began directing them to head out, going southeast on foot. Hours into their journey, the warriors came upon a herd of stegers, large plant-eating creatures with what appeared to be daggers at the end of its tail and a strange diamond-shaped exoskeleton along its spine. Harmless as they seem, these are deadly creatures when threatened. Taking in the beasts before him, Ive crouched low and gripped the hilt of his black wood, double-edged staff. It had a unique elliptical-like blade design on each end, with rose thorns sprouting from its base. He made this weapon to remind him that there are two sides to every situation, and without balance, there can be fault, no matter which end you side with. Okay, men, Ive said, as his hunters came to his side. Watch out for their tails, he warned his men, cautiously viewing the razor-sharp plates on their backs. Spread out. The men quietly dispersed. Once in position, the men started closing in on the creatures. Sensing danger, the stegers began to run, their huge weight causing the ground to tremble and shake. The stegers turned and began stampeding directly towards the hunters as if sensing a greater danger upon them. Ive's men were caught off guard by the sudden rush towards them. Ah! A warrior screamed, feeling the stab of a huge beast as it knocked him to the ground with its enormous weight. Be aware and stay alive, Ive shouted to his men and glanced around to ward off any further attacks. Looking east, he saw flames shoot up from the mountain towards the heavens. Oh jeez! Ive had never seen such a sight. The men turned and followed his gaze. Ive's curiosity drove him forward to see what this was he was witnessing in the sky. His men followed. As the hunters neared, the land shook even greater. Suddenly in front of him, a great, large, winged, and dreadful monster appeared. "What the fuck is that?" one of the men shouted. "I believe that's a dragon," a reply came from another. "Well," said Ive, "that dragon has scared away our prey." The men watched the Stegers disappear over the horizon. Ive headed toward the dragon. "So now we prey on the thing." The men looked at one another in question, and one by one, they followed their leader. "Come out!" the dragon roared, deeply at a cave entrance in the side of the mountain, and blasted fire into the crevices. "I'll fry you!" the dragon roared again, and blew more fire. Deep inside the cave, a family of 3 hid from the dragon, hoping it would leave, but knew the dragon would. "We will die in here!" cried the male in the cave. "Please, honey, don't go out there. You can't fight this dragon alone," pleaded to her mate. "I won't die a coward," he told her in anguish. Primoana sat atop a mountain nearby and was drawn to the havoc close by. He sat up to see what was going on and saw what looked like a shooting star. A grayish-blue, winged, somewhat mortal-like creature shoot out from the dark cave beyond and drove itself smack into the dragon. "Gargoyles," Primoana muttered to herself. "You fool!" shouted the dragon at the creature that had just attacked him. "Come on, son, we must flee!" Inside the cave, the female urged to her offspring. "But what about Daddy?" the young star protested. "Your daddy is fighting for us. Now come, no more questions." He grabbed hold of him and flew out of the cave. "Ah!" the male gargoyle screamed in agony as the dragon bit him out. "Papa!" the young one yelled, watching the death of his father. "Kopa!" the mother called as she slowed at his son's struggles that released him from her grip. "No! No! Daddy!" The young gargoyle screamed in horror at the bloody remains of his father. The dragon spotted the 2 remaining gargoyles and spit out a ball of fire. The fire hurled with strength directly towards the pair. "Kopa!" yelled the young mother as she flew back to him to get him out of harm's way. Primoana saw the mother reach her son and, using her head, butted her son out of the fireball's path. Her quick reaction saved her son, but she was instantly engulfed by the flames of the inferno. "No!" Primoana shouted as she saw the boy's wing catch fire. "Move out of the way!" Ive shouted as he and his men moved forward. They then watched as the scorched body of the winged female fell towards them. The dragon then pulled back his tremendous wings and made for the little one. Seeing the dragon's intent, Primoana instantly teleported to the boy's side, took a hold of him, and teleported them both to safety. The dragon looked around in confusion at the disappearance of the young one, then quickly dove for the mother gargoyle, whose body now lay on the ground. Just as he landed on his sharp talons, he bent his enormous head and quickly gobbled her. At the dragon's momentary distraction, Ive's men attacked. "Kill it! Kill it!" they shouted. "What is this?" the dragon roared at the sudden commotion. Flames shot from his mouth, setting the ground around him on fire. "I don't have time for squishy meat!" The dragon flew high, spitting more flames, and flew away, satisfied by his meal. "Damn it!" Ive shouted, watching the dragon as it disappeared into the sky. He then ran toward the little winged creature and the cloaked one who had grabbed the boy from the ball of fire. "Are you two okay?" he gasped. "Yes," replied Primoana, "but this one's wings looking bad." Looking down on them where they sat, Ive kneeled for a closer inspection. "Let me see," he told them, and Primoana moved aside. Studying the creature before him, he asked, "What is it?" "A gargoyle," Primoana answered. I have never seen something like this, replied Ive. He raised his eyes to the cloaked one and froze. You must have never seen a dragon before either. Noticing the expression on his face, Primoana looked at him, just as odd as he was toward her, not realizing he was in thought of the way she had brought the boy to safety. Ive knew he was suddenly face to face with the little girl he had been dreaming of for seasons. Stunned with surprise, he lost his balance and fell backwards to the ground. Finding his voice, he said to her, You look the same. Primoana then knew what tribe he was with, but did not know who this brown-skinned boy was. She stared at his short dark hair and brown eyes, searching for some clue. I don't know you, she told him. I know you. You were with Mainun, Ive said to her. Primoana gazed deeper into his eyes and suddenly realized who he was. The young one, she told herself, and quickly vanished. Making his way to Ive's side, Bolt witnessed what had just happened and asked of his leader, Was that her? That was her, wasn't it? Yes, that was her, Ive responded, still somewhat stunned. What of this thing? Bolt questioned, as he looked down at the creature lying on the ground before him. Can we eat it? Bring it, instructed Ive. Let the Wiccan decide. Once the hunters reached their division, Ive, carrying the young gargoyle, made his way directly to Tavo and asked the Wiccan, Do we keep it or eat it? This is all you brought back? Tavo inquired. A dragon scared away our prey, so we decided to kill the dragon, Ive explained. And brought back a gargoyle? Asked the Wiccan. Ive looked down at the gargoyle in his arms. The dragon got away. For this, you and your... Tavo paused, then inquired. How many men died? 3. 1 from the Stegers, and 2, Ive started to explain. By the dragon, yes. Tavo completed Ive's sentence. Gather your men for fishing, the Wiccan told him. Yes, Ive responded with a nod. And what of the gargoyle? Give it to the woman to clean and let it rest, instructed Tavo. Obeying his Wiccan, Ive turned around and began walking away from the Wiccan. He then shouted, I need all men! He then thrust the gargoyle into the arms of the first woman he saw and told her, Gather more women and cater to this creature. What is it? She asked him, looking down at the creature. A gargoyle. Clean it and give it shelter, he told her. Yes, Ive. She nodded and took it away. What's going on, Ive? One of his men asked as they gathered before him. Fishing, he told them. The men were very tired, but orders were orders. They headed south toward the Jezti Sea. Ive watched as the men hunted with Bolt by his side. It's strange, isn't it? Bolt asked, looking at Ive. How you dream about her for so long, and she comes right to you? Yeah, Ive responded. I can't seem to shake her from my mind. You said she looked the same, said Bolt. Just the same. Barely any changes. She looks like about 13 Cs, he told Bolt. She's an immortal, explained Bolt. I know, but when does she really age? Or is she controlling it? Asked Ive. She's aging, Bolt told him, but super slow. I don't think she can control it. She's fascinating, Ive admitted, as he stared out over the sea. Enough fish were brought to the land and gathered for their tribe. They headed home. The night was done.